These massive arms belong to one of the most formidable fighting machines in boxing history, Jack Johnson. Champion Tommy Burns gives Jack Johnson the first chance a Negro ever got to fight for the heavyweight championship of the world. Tommy Burns comes out from the near corner. He starts cautiously against a man already touted as the greatest defensive fighter of all time. It's December 25th, 1908, in Sydney, Australia. Look at the 6-inch height difference between the two men. Johnson smiles as he ties up the champion. Ringside reporters wrote that he taunted Burns. "What you got, Mr. Tommy? You ain't showed me nothing. What you got, Mr. Tommy?" Burns doesn't seem to be able to reach the taller Johnson. To most of the spectators, the fight is already a foregone conclusion. Johnson toying with a smaller Burns. At times, Johnson smiles and chats with the spectators. Jack Johnson shows he can handle champion Tommy Burns like a small child. Johnson has a big grin on his face as he continues to chat in the clinches. "Is you having fun, Mr. Tommy?" As the bell rings, Jack gives a friendly little wave to Burns. "See you later, Mr. Tommy." Renowned sports writer Damon Runyon, who had come 12,000 miles to report the contest, was to write, "Not 1 second of any round could legitimately be scored for Burns." Finally, Johnson decides to put an end to the lopsided contest. Punches rain on the champion. Burns reels around the ring, helpless. At this very moment, the police stepped in and cut off the cameras. Seconds later, the fight was stopped. Jack Johnson was awarded the World's Heavyweight Championship on the spot. The news shocked the boxing world. Former champion Jim Jefferies comes out of retirement and stands with former champs, gentleman Jim Corbett on the left and John L. Sullivan on the right. In this rarest of rare footage, the two old ring giants give a mock sparring demonstration. This is the only film of John L. Sullivan that even hints of his fabled ring prowess. The two amicable oldsters demonstrate their mutual support of Jim Jefferies by shaking hands. Champion Jack Johnson enters the ring first. He was superstitious about this point and made it a condition in all his fight contracts. It's July 4th, 1910, Reno, Nevada. Teletype machines are carrying the round-by-round reports all over the world. Old hand grinder cameras record the arrival of the premier white hope, James Jefferies. Round one. Despite the ballyhoo about Jefferies' awesome physical statistics, Johnson is his equal in height and reach. Only in weight does Jefferies have a 20-pound edge. Johnson is 32. Former champion Jefferies is 35. The 45-round fight shapes up as a contest between two physically matched opponents. Although early in the fight, Johnson appears to be playing with Jefferies. Round 15. An hour has elapsed since the bout started. Jefferies sways on legs grown weary. Johnson leaps in with a barrage of slashing punches. The indestructible Boilermaker, James J. Jefferies, hits the canvas for the first time in his brilliant career. The former champion slumps like a tired old man, but gamely attempts to get up. Referee Tex Rickard holds Johnson away, but Jack smashes Jefferies through the ropes. Spectators rush to lift the fallen fighter. The champion Johnson drives Jefferies across the ring and flattens him for the third time. Referee Tex Rickard is counting, but the fight is obviously over. The greatest comeback attempt in the history of sports ends with Jim Jefferies humiliated in the bright Nevada sun. Giant Jess Willard challenged Jack Johnson 5 years later in 1915. Here are Johnson and Willard being introduced in Havana, Cuba, 1 week before the fight. Johnson dapper in his white suit, Willard uncomfortable in his Sunday best. The timekeeper for the upcoming fight takes a bow. It's none other than Bat Masterson, the fabled Western gunfighter and marshal. The two men shake hands for the cameras, and one of the most controversial encounters in boxing history is about to begin. Round one. The fight starts calmly. Both men aware that they may have to go 45 rounds in the sweltering tropical sun. Temperature at ringside, 103 degrees and rising. This is Johnson's 7th title defense. 6'7" Willard, by far the biggest man Johnson ever fought. At times, Johnson finds it difficult to get at the taller Willard. Both men having plenty of respect for each other. Johnson is showing the skeptics that he's still the best boxer in the world, scoring in flurries to gain a commanding lead. But slowly and surely, the fight is becoming an endurance contest, with conditioning the decisive factor. Johnson, in his 7th year as champion, second only to John L. Sullivan in longevity, does not have time on his side. Jess Willard is fighting carefully, realizing that his chance to reverse the momentum of the fight may come shortly. Willard very patient. Johnson doesn't want to go the full 45 rounds if he can help it. Round 26. Already this is the longest fight ever held in the heavyweight division under the Marquis of Queensberry rules. Jess Willard has been coming on. For the first time in Johnson's 7-year reign, he looks in danger of losing his crown. Willard's size and strength have begun to tell. Suddenly, Jess lashes out with a jolting right hand. Johnson is down. Referee Jack Welch counts, but the champion doesn't move. It's all over. Jess Willard is the new heavyweight champion of the world, scoring a convincing 26-round knockout over the great Jack Johnson. The partisan crowd goes wild. They surround Willard. The new champion is unable to leave the ring. Cuban Rangers armed with rifles come in to try to restore some kind of order. Now in slow motion, let's rerun this never-before-seen film of the actual knockout punch. Willard feints, then gets in with that explosive right. Johnson crumbles. At first, the champion's legs are bent, but then they slip down as the champion passes out cold. Not even a muscle twitches as Johnson takes the full count. Referee Jack Welch counting. Jack Johnson out. No films of this fight were shown in the United States. Only this photograph was seen by the American public. An ego-stung Johnson, despondent at losing the title he had held for 7 years, used this photo to justify the claim he had thrown the fight to Jess Willard. Jack said he was shading his eyes as he lay facing the bright Cuban sun. It's 1919.